This is Democracy Watch. Mark, we have one of the most dangerous updates yet as far as Trump is concerned. He recently signed an executive order claiming to designate Antifa, this nebulous catch-all term, Antifa, as a terrorist organization. So first and foremost, knowing that there is no official Antifa, there's no membership in this organization, how can that then be perverted for Trump's broader attacks against members of, the left?
Yeah, so this is a very dangerous and fluid situation, and everyone needs to be paying attention to it. On the one hand, this executive order that purports to do a whole lot of stuff really does a whole lot of nothing, because as you point out, Antifa isn't a thing. It is this nebulous concept that or cause that people, that some people, identify with, but there isn't an organization. So as a result, the designating it a terrorist organization is kind of like there's not an organization there. So it's kind of like, in the one hand, it is a press release with scare quotes rather than a legal document. On the other hand, it is to be taken really, really seriously for the same reason, because it is so nebulous. You can expect that Donald Trump and his administration will just simply say that any group it does not like, any person who is a critic, any group of people who organize dissent, peaceful protests against this administration, they will simply say are part of Antifa. And because there's no official Antifa, it becomes a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy that Antifa is whoever Donald Trump says it is. And he is purporting to have the power, which he does not have, by the way, but he is purporting to have the power to designate them as domestic terrorists. And, just imagine, Brian, the chilling effect it will have on civil rights organizations, on peaceful protesting organizations, on media organizations, on prominent critics of the administration, to have Donald Trump, in the coming days, weeks, and months, or Kristi Noem, or Kash Patel, or Pam Bondi, simply say one day, via social media post, that this person or this group or this organization is part of the Antifa network. And what is that person or group to do? I mean, at that point, they have effectively been designated a terrorist without any due process, without any way of even identifying what that means, because, like I said, the president doesn't have the power to do this. It is beyond McCarthyism. It is beyond the Red Scare of the 1920s. I mean, we are, people sometimes ask me, are we going to cross the Rubicon? We can barely see the Rubicon. I mean, the Rubicon is a river that was passed as part of a military conquest. We can't see the river anymore. Our shoes are dry. We are marching, and the river is somewhere in the back.
Well, that's the exact thing, because I think that some critics are thinking about this like, oh, we're good because Antifa doesn't exist, and so it's just largely a toothless order. But I would contend that this is actually more dangerous because it is this nebulous catch-all dragnet that Trump can claim encompasses everybody. And it's the fact that it's just so amorphous that means that he can point to literally anybody he wants on the left and just kind of self-designate. And it's not like Pam Bondi is going to show any discernment here. It's not like she's going to be the one to say, no, Mr. President, this isn't how it works. That there isn't enough of a basis to actually include these people in this nebulous catch-all term of Antifa. And so in a way, this is actually exactly what he wants, because it is so amorphous.
Yeah, I mean, look, these are dangerous times, and these are scary times, and I think anyone who tells you that they are not scared or they're not concerned, they're either not in the fight, right? They have outed themselves as someone who is not, in fact, standing up for democracy and not taking on the Trump administration, or they're lying, because any of us who are involved in taking on the Trump administration, we appreciate what the dangers are. We appreciate what these risks are. I mean, Donald Trump hurls around all kinds of invectives towards people. I mean, look, Donald Trump has called me an election stealing lawyer. He has called me a radical. He has said I am trying to turn the United States communist. Just earlier today, I learned in a report in the Guardian newspaper that his official White House spokesperson called me a crooked hack and a disgraceful swamp creature. Not sure what they're using taxpayer money to do that for is, but nevertheless, we have to take these things seriously, that he hurls these invectives. And how far is it for him to travel Brian, the next time he doesn't like one of your videos, or the next time he doesn't like one of my lawsuits,
Yeah.
or he doesn't like something I print in Democracy Docket, or he doesn't like something you write in, your brilliant Substack, for him to just say they're Antifa, right? Like, I mean, like, who's going to stop him from putting that in a True Social post to Pam, dear Pam, right. They're Antifa. And then what happens next? I mean, what happens next under this executive order is the entire full force of the federal government is supposed to come down on those people. They're supposed to investigate. They're supposed to disrupt them. And so the fact that there is no thing, but he can simply designate it himself, should make everyone who stands up to Donald Trump even more worried. But it should make those of you out there who care about democracy, it should motivate you. It should motivate you to do something. It should motivate you to stand up and to speak out in your town square that this is not acceptable. I mean, you all may be looking past this because you're like, well, this is stupid. Donald Trump is a clown. Yes, Donald Trump is a clown and is stupid, but he can be a dangerous clown and it can be dangerously stupid. And that's what this is. So we need the public to not dismiss this the way the legacy media does. Legacy media dismisses this because they are not in the business of courage. They are not in the business of standing up. I mean, God bless Jimmy Kimmel, but Jimmy Kimmel's not back on the air because there's any courage over at Disney. Yeah. They're back on the air because people like you started canceling your subscriptions. And so we need there to be an awareness among the general public that this is a big deal. So what I need you to do right now is I need you to share this video. Okay, I need you to hit the button to share, to copy the link, and to share this video. Share it with your friends, your family, your bridge club, your customers, your clients, because people need to be aware of what is going on here. Now, it also is important for you to subscribe to this channel because this is the place where Brian is going to bring you this news that, unfortunately, legacy media doesn't have an interest. I'm not conspiratorial about this. I'm not saying they're hiding it from you. I'm not saying that they're like on the take. It's none of that. They are just big corporations hiding from Donald Trump because they don't want to be on his bad side, because they would rather, not offend him and then run the risk of being on the wrong side. They are not engaged in a grand conspiracy. They're engaged in a grand cowardice.
Right.
And so, by subscribing to this channel, what you do is you ensure that when Brian and I have this news, you are kept up to date. And so if you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell, you'll be alerted the next time there's content. So share this video, subscribe to this channel.
And one more step that we can all take, by the way, to make sure that we're fighting back and staying as engaged and activated and informed as possible is to sign up for Democracy Docket, which is the news outlet Mark founded to focus on everything voting and elections. Again, this is a moment where we need to bolster independent media that is actually meeting this moment with the urgency that it deserves. So I'm going to put that link right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. Mark, let's finish off with this. I think there's no doubt between the two of us and everybody else in this space that Donald Trump is looking for any avenue that he can to be able to go after his political opponents. We've seen that in recent days with the way in which he has fired his own appointed U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia and replaced him with a U.S. attorney who was willing to do his bidding. And we know that that person is now going to go after Letitia James in New York and also James Comey, the former FBI director. And so he's always looking for avenues to be able to shoehorn in whatever retribution or vengeance he wants to see for his enemies. As far as the broader ecosystem of, his enemies that fall in the bucket of the left that he wants to go after, do you think that this is the vehicle that he's using to be able to do so? That by claiming Antifa is a terrorist organization and then pointing at anybody and just saying you're Antifa?
Yeah, I do. And I think we need to look at this as an all of the above strategy on the part of Donald Trump. There are some of his political enemies that he is simply going to insist get indicted. Now, that is an absolute travesty, and it is 100% wrong. And we all need to stand up for them. I mean, I have no love for James Comey. I mean, we could do a whole video about what I think James Comey did to elect Donald Trump in 2016, his unfair treatment of Hillary Clinton. So I was Hillary Clinton's general counsel. Believe me, I don't have any use for James Comey. But what they are doing with him is an absolute travesty. It is an abuse of the justice system. The prosecutors have said there is no evidence to indict. And what Donald Trump has done now is go through a series of prosecutors until he found one who apparently now is willing to do that. And you're right, it is not just going to be Comey, it is going to be others. So that's kind of like plan one. But then there are a lot more people who Donald Trump just wants to make it really hard for them to live their lives, make it hard for them to be hired, make it hard for them to get security clearances if they're in that business, make it hard for them to get speaking engagements or be invited on podcasts or just generally be shunned, make it hard for them to bank, in the banking system, and to have there be a constant din and cloud over them. And that's what this Antifa thing does, right? It is a frictionless way for him to do that, which is why I compare it to McCarthyism, right? Because what did McCarthy do? He accused someone of being a communist. He didn't have to prove it. Like it was a Senate hearing. I mean, there was no like court of law. It was just an accusation, but that accusation had the effect of ruining people's lives, ruining people's livelihoods, ending their careers. And that is what Donald Trump is trying to do now with this Antifa label. It's an invective he can hurl. And in doing so, it will allow him and Pam Bondi and Kristi Noem and, the whole alphabet soup of the federal government to harass that person, and also will make that person, if they get away with it, make that person untouchable. Yeah. They want that person to then not be able to get a job, not be able to get on a podcast, not be able to get their opinions out because they are somehow damaged and tainted and a cloud is over them. And we can't let that happen. You all need to not buy into that. I know you don't like John Bolton. I don't like John Bolton, but John Bolton is being targeted because Donald Trump doesn't like him. The same for James Comey, the same for Tish James, and the same, by the way, for people like Brennan and Clapper, and also, by the way, for the Federal Reserve Board Governor Cook, who who got targeted. Like all of these things are just efforts to make people feel like there must be some smoke, there must be some fire because he's saying there's smoke. I'm here to tell you there's no smoke.
And by the way, as Trump continues to use these illicit ways to tarnish people's reputations, it is important to stay on top of real news, and that's what you get with Democracy Docket. So I'm going to put that link right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. If ever there was a moment to bolster fearless independent journalism, especially at the hands of an aspiring tyrant, it is right now. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen.
I'm Mark Elias.
This is Democracy Watch.